Hello online crew, how are we going? Hopefully you're really well. So I've been a bit cryptic in my title of this video, and for very good reason, because if I told you what it was about, I don't reckon half of you would listen. So what I'm talking about today is a thing. It's a thing that we all have, but how badly you have this thing has a major impact on your life. And I haven't spoken about this thing for ages, but I came across some information on this a couple of days ago, and I thought, I need to revisit this one. People really need to think about this one. Hi Teresa, how are you? I've got comments, awesome. Hello Olive, how are you? Thank you for saying hello to Henry. Hello Anna, lovely to see you on. So as you are coming in, please say hello. Put the palm tree emoji down below. That's the mascot here, our emoji mascot for our online crew community. Put the fish emoji down below if you're part of my free Facebook group, Social Media Strategies for Home Business Owners. And if I have any online crew leaders on live or catching the replay. Hi Cindy, hey Crystal, hi Susan. Put the cruise ship down below. So those are the special people, my online crew leaders in my private coaching community. So if we have not met before, hello Lynn, great to see you on. Hello Kelly, lovely to see you on. For those of you that have not met me before, my name is Helen Martin and I'm your online crew captain. So I am of service to this amazing online crew community that we have here. Hi Carol, hi Laurie. And we are home-based business owners, entrepreneurs, direct sellers, network marketers, those in MLM. And what we do here is learn how to leverage social media to build our business online the modern way. Hey, Judy and Bob. So we don't want to hassle anybody to buy anything off us. We truly don't. We don't want to, try to convince anybody to come into business with us. We truly want to attract the right people to us through what we do online. So, hey Monica. So depending what we do on social media, how we brand ourselves, all those kind of things, it all plays a massive part in our success in the online world. Now, I go live 5 times a week. Hi Shirley. And at the beginning of every week, which is this video, depending on what part of the world that you are from, it is Tuesday morning here in my part of the world in Australia. It's probably Monday night for a lot of you. Hi, Cheryl. And so I always start off the week with something thought-provoking. You can guarantee it. Something to do with personal growth, helping you be a better version of yourself. Because I am a massive believer, it's just the truth. It's just the way it is, that if you don't have it going on up here, no skills that you learn regarding building a business online are going to help you be successful, okay? Because you need to have belief in yourself. You need to have, massive sort of self-worth and those kind of things to truly be successful in business, especially in this entrepreneurial sort of space. So what I'm talking about today is really important. Some of you may have not thought about what I'm going to say to the degree that I'm going to explain it. Some of you won't care, and the people that don't, you've got this thing probably badly. So I'll make sense of this in a minute. But what I'm talking about today, if you have this thing really strong, it's not going to serve you well in life. Not only business, but in your relationships, in your friendships, everything to do in life. Okay? Now, so let me explain this. Hang in there with me, guys. This is important. This is one of those life lessons that you should think about in how you move through life. Are you someone that needs to be right? So that's one question that I'll ask you. So if you know something's red and someone else is saying it's black, how hard do you fight for making your point that it's red? Like, how strongly do you need to be right? Okay? In your personality, are you someone that needs to be right? Are you someone that always needs to be in control? Are you somebody that compares yourself to others big time? Are you somebody that always has to have the last word. Do you guys know what I'm getting at? Do you know what the thing is? Can anybody guess it? So it's a personality trait, and the stronger this personality trait, the less, what's the way I could put it? Well, the harder your life is going to be. Okay? Would you rather be right or happy? That's a great way to put it, Susan. Still learning how... Oh, okay, Crystal's asking a question. Don't fight at all. Know me. So can anybody guess what I'm talking about? I haven't spoken about it for ages, but it's a real thing. We all have it, but how badly you have it will have a major impact in your life. So high five, Mike backs away from conflict. You don't need to be right. Cindy's nailed it. Okay, well done, Cindy. And stay with me for the explanation, guys. And if you everybody has it, guys, whether you think you do or you don't, you do. But it's ego. And when you have a big ego, you have big problems. Because, so stubborn, yes, Susan, on the right track. So when you come from, let me put it this way. We are all born with, basically self-love, a place of love, okay? Ego is something you grow into. You're not born with ego. Ego gets created, and it can get created in ugly ways. And if you're somebody that needs to be right and stand your ground and take control and those kind of things, it won't serve you well in business and in life. And I'm sure that you all know people that have got really big egos and they've got strong personalities, and they're always the ones that have to have the last say. They're not people that will ever say sorry. It's like, nope, they did the wrong thing by me. I'm not talking to them. They have to message me first. I tried, that kind of, angle around things. You can't come from a place of love and you can't have love and ego is what I'm trying to say. And it doesn't work, guys. So if you don't come from a place of love, you've got ego. This shows up in more ways than you will really sort of even be aware of. And I want to give you an example of where it shows up for me. So my dad is, he's 87 now, and his short-term memory loss is not too good. So I ring my dad every single day because he's on his own, and I just make sure that he's all right and what he's up to. And we generally have the same conversation pretty much every day. He's losing his short-term memory, okay? So there's things that Dad will tell me, and I just flat out know that he's wrong. So we'll talk about something, and I just know that he's wrong. And it's taken me a while to let go of going, well, no, Dad, that's not right. Because you just, when you know that you're right, you want to fight for it. And you don't think you're coming from a place of ego, but we are. So when you know something's right, it's like, no, I'm right. Like, you don't go left, you go right to get to where you want to go. Like, and you know that that's the truth for you. And you fight for it. It's like, no, like Dad will tell me something and it's just completely not true. And I used to fight with him on that. And it's taken me a while to go, Helen, he's 87. He forgets things. Why do I need to be right? There is no point to be me right. Even if he's wrong, I now agree with him. It's like, okay, Dad, no worries. I don't even point out, because you know what happens when I do that? Is I make him feel about that big by me being right. So he's actually totally wrong, but I've got to have the need to feel right. So I say to him, no, that's actually not right, Dad. It's blah, blah, blah. And it's taken me a while to go, I don't need to be right. He doesn't need to feel that small because he's forgotten. He's forgotten what he did yesterday, and he did this and not that because I was with him. So I know what's right, but there's no need for me to go there and have the need to be right because he's forgotten. Like different example, I just want to give you an example of that. Like there's just, you don't need to be right, guys. You need to be open. Ego and love don't coexist. We've all got some element of ego in us. And like my issue with my dad, like I don't feel like I've got, a big ego, but that's ego. That's me needing to be right because I know that it's right. Like we did something together yesterday and he's forgotten where we went and I know what's right. But for me to have to then go, no, Dad, that's not what we did. We went there. And so I know the truth. But what purpose do I serve by being right? So that's just one example. But are there people in your life that you just need to be right? You need to have the last word. Your ego comes from your beliefs about yourself, your history, your, all the things that you tell yourself about you. And more often than not, guys, it's not even reality. It's the shit you tell yourselves. Sorry, shouldn't say that on live, but the stuff that you tell yourself about yourself and about others, your likes, your dislikes, where it shows up is in your possessions, the things that you hold important to you, materialistic things. Those things represent ego as well. And none of that generally comes from a place of love. It's ego. So when you run your life from a place of ego, then you're not as happy as you could be. You're not going to be as successful as you could be because you're coming from a place of right and wrong. Please don't live your life from a place of right and wrong. The world does not move in right and wrong. And I want to give you 3 tips that I researched and I want to share them with you because I thought these were really good tips. And it's really interesting discussion because none of us really think we've got an ego. But I bet you do. But to what degree you have an ego is for you to sort of think about. And you don't want to come from a place of ego. You don't need to be right, guys. You don't need to be right in business. You don't need to be right in relationships. You need to be open to everybody's different points of view. If you don't agree with somebody, just say, that's a really interesting perspective. I'm not quite sure that I'm on the same page, but thanks for sharing. I'll think about that. That's coming from a place of love versus, no, I don't agree with you. That's coming from a place of right and wrong. That's ego. You would have people that have massive egos around you everywhere. The more controlling the person, the more right and wrong the person needs to be, the bigger their ego. And that's like ego and awareness and coming from a place of love, they don't coexist. So which one do you want to be? Do you want to come from a place of love and be open and respect people's opinions, and even if you don't agree? Or do you want to come from a place of right and wrong? Life isn't right and wrong. We're not born with right and wrong. We're born with love. Sweet little babies, they are just born, generally not all the time, but they're generally born into just so much love, aren't they? Ego comes out through circumstantial things, the people around you, the relationships that you have, maybe problems that you had as a child, those kind of things. Ego grows. But if you've got a really strong ego, I would highly encourage you to try to kick it to the curb or try to lessen the ego so you can have more love and happiness in your life. They don't coexist. They really don't. Okay? So I want to share with you 3 ways to control this. So these are really interesting, and this is really worth listening to and thinking about, guys, as to where you're at in this, because I'm sure there are times in your life where you've had conversations with people where you've just needed to be right. It doesn't work in relationships, does it? So just be open enough to respect and love everybody's opinions. If you're stuck in a conflict with somebody, that's right and wrong. Or you've got your wall up. No, they need to contact me first. I've tried contacting them. They let me down. I'm not going there again. That's coming from a place of ego. Okay, I'm sure there's a lot of bosses in the world that come from a place of ego. Have you had one of those bosses? Yes, Olive, coming from a place of love is so much better. But it's not just so much better. It's a level of happiness that is just so much nicer. In your life when you come from that place, and just respect, even if you don't agree, respect other people's opinions. Okay. So the one thing we want to stop doing in relation to sort of lessening our ego. And this is a hard one because we all do it. Oops, am I back? If somebody could just let me know I'm back. It just told me I had a poor network connection, so hopefully I'm back. We've got to try to not take things personally, because that's purely coming from a place of ego. When we let people hurt us, when we get offended, it's like right and wrong, okay? So when we can just go, okay, respect your opinion, I don't agree with you, but, thank you, and come from a place of love and not get hurt and angry and vengeful and thanks for letting me know I'm back, guys. All those kind of things, then you'll be able to get over things a lot quicker. And I know it's difficult sometimes to not take things personally, but it's really important to remember that when somebody hurts us, it's coming from them and their ego, not yours. If you allow it to hurt you, if you allow it to have a massive impact on you, then that's your ego. But when people are hurtful and spiteful and mean and all those kind of things, it's coming from their ego. So it's really important to have a high level of awareness of where ego creeps in your life. Hi, Charlene. So 1, we want to try to not take things personally and just come from a place of love. Okay? Thanks for your opinion. I don't agree. All good. Move on. Okay? So trying not to take things personally. And I don't know if you guys have ever read it. There's a book called is it 5 Agreements? By Miguel Muse. Is it 5? I think it's 5 Agreements. And that's one of them. Don't take things personally. Great book, by the way. I think it's 5. The 5 Agreements. Or is it 7 Agreements? I can't believe I can't remember. I've read that book heaps of times. Yes, Crystal, it is very difficult, especially when you're sensitive, but it's really important for us to separate people's words and ego from reality. And sometimes when thanks Olive, thanks Cindy, it is the 4 Agreements. 4 Agreements. What did I say? 5. So 4 Agreements. That's it. So it rolls off the tongue, the 4 Agreements. What was it? Now I'm distracted. So it is the 4 Agreements. Great book. Get the book. Back on my train of thought. So when we're sensitive and we let things hurt us, 2 things to remember. 1, if somebody's hurt us, it's coming from somebody else's ego and the need to portray their right and wrong. But we also allow people to hurt. So we actually allow that in. So when you're stronger and you can sit in yourself and when you come from a place of love within yourself, you can let that bounce off more. So it comes from our own self-respect of, our own lives and our own worth and our own self-belief to let that bounce off. And that takes a bit of practice, okay? So when somebody says something to us, we've got 2 choices. So something negative towards us or hurts us, you've got 2 choices. You got 1 choice to let it in and be affected by it and be really hurt by it and, cry and get emotional and those kind of things by it. Or you can actually recognize that it's a trigger for your ego and their ego and use it as an opportunity for growth. So what can I learn out of this? There are always going to be bad circumstances that happen in your life. There's always going to be people that do things and say things that you don't like, especially if you are a sensitive person. But if you come from a place of love and not let the ego slip in there, just come from a place of what can I learn from this? The universe, or whoever you believe in is trying to teach me something here. What can I learn from this? Not, I'm going to fall apart because it's projected by somebody else. And we've got to separate ego from reality. Ego in your head is what messes with you. It's your little voice in there. That's all your ego. We've all got a little voice and, things that get stuck in our head about ourselves and our beliefs and our lack of this, and we compare with others. Why aren't I as successful as somebody else at this stage in the journey? Why can't I, have much more views on my live videos? Like it's all a place of ego and judgment. It's all judgment and ego. And when you let go of that and you come from a place of sort of love and what can I learn from this and who can I help today rather than what can I get from people today, that's all ego. Even people in their marketing, when they, sell, what can I post today to get somebody into my business? That's all ego. That's not coming from a place of love. Remember, love and ego don't coexist. Which one are you? Which one do you want to be? And you might not necessarily think you have an ego, but I bet you do. And it can be as innocent as like what I've been doing with my dad. It's like I'll say something because I know the answer, like I know what's right, and I can see him sink. He's like, oh, I forgot. And it's like, oh, Helen, did you just go there? Like seriously, he's 87 and he's got short-term memory loss, and I'm worried about being right. Like that's just my ego, knowing that it is kind of right, but I don't need to go there. I just agree with him now. Like it's taken me a while to work that out. But do you need to be right, guys? Do you need to fight for that need to be right? When you compare yourselves with others, in life, in the online world, doing live videos, whatever it is that you're doing, when you do that, it's all ego. I'm not good enough. I'm not like them. I'll never be as successful as them. It's all the stories that we tell ourselves that get us trapped in here. Our stories get us trapped. So we want to have a high level of awareness. That's why I talk about these kind of things once a week. It won't change overnight, but if you have a high level of awareness of these kind of things, you got half a chance to change it or move towards being a better person than you were yesterday and knock that ego on the head. Like get rid of your stories. Often our stories are not true that we tell ourselves. That you're not good enough, you're not doing as well as they are, and you could actually be. Like I spoke to a student on a mentorship call last night, and we were going through a few things, and she's done amazing, and she had no idea. She said, thanks for pointing that out. I didn't realize I'd grown so much. And it's like, yes, you have. You've done amazing things in the last 3 months. And she's like, yeah, I have actually. Like we don't look at ourselves often enough to sit back and, celebrate what we have done, not what we haven't done, okay? So the number one, try not to take things personally. You got two choices, guys. Take it personally, crumble, cry, be affected by it. Let somebody else's ego have an impact on you, or use it as an opportunity to go, what can I learn from this? And come from a place of love, okay? Second one, forgive. The ego needs to be right. So you'll fight for being right with people, relationships, relatives. Your ego will fight to be right. You don't need to be right. Forgive people. Hard to do. I know some of you may have had serious issues and you can't forgive. You need to forgive. Forgiveness is like a weed. Let me put it this way. Let's say you've got some flowers sprouting and there's a weed, and that's because you can't forgive somebody for something. So you've got these beautiful little flowers sprouting in other areas of your life. You're generally happy. You've got good relationships with different things. You've got some business things going on. But there's a little weed here because you can't forgive somebody for something. That weed will grow unless you deal with it. That weed will strangle your other roses and your plants in time. Maybe not straight away. It might be a slow growing weed. But unless you deal with your weed, forgiveness is like a weed. Interesting example I'm giving here, but I'm just trying to give a visual of what I'm trying. Unless you deal with the weed, unless you forgive and let go, you will slowly strangle other things in your life and the plants will die. So that will crawl into other relationships. It will crawl into self-sabotage in your business. It will find its way to filter through other areas of your life if you're hanging on to something that has to do with the ego. But you may not realize it's ego, but it could be. Okay? Yes, Lynn, you have to forgive or else you die inside, or your weed strangles all your blossoming flowers. You'll self-sabotage yourself because the weed's still there. Okay? You got to deal with the weed. Okay. The third one is, yes, Crystal, things will haunt you until you forgive. And they may not pop up for years, but they'll pop up. They absolutely pop up unless you deal with these things. And they pop up years later and you wonder why things turned out the way they are. It's because you didn't deal with whatever it was like years ago. The other thing is just try to let go of the need to be right. Try to let go of certainty. Try to let go of emotional connections to possessions and things and money and those kind of things. None of those things matter, guys. No, like having things and bigger houses and cars and, you know, material possessions, they can give you some fun and entertainment in life, but they don't make you happy on the inside. They can mask some things and give you some happiness to some degree, but they don't truly make you happy as a person. And they're the things that are caught up in ego that people think are important. You know, the nice clothes and the better house, and let's stay in the most expensive villa rather than the budget accommodation down the road, and let's go for Moe instead of the $2 glass of champagne. Like, it's all, that's, you know, if you've got it, great. But people don't have it and get caught up in that that's important when it's really not. So you come from a place of love or you come from a place of ego. So which place are you guys coming from? Now, you may have a blend of both, absolutely. But why I talk about stuff like this is to raise your level of awareness with how damaging an ego can be. And you don't want to have an ego, guys, because it's going to be hard to be successful in business with a big ego. Even a little ego, like my issue with my dad, it comes from a place of me needing to be right, really, at the end of the day. So, you know, now I don't need to be. I just, whatever dad tells me, I just nod my head. What is the point in telling an 87-year-old man he's wrong? Serves no purpose, and it just makes him feel bad. So, you know, read the situations for what they are in your life, but just sort of have a high level awareness. Wow, is that coming from a place of ego? What's the reason that I'm hurt? Why am I reacting this way? Why did that person say that to me? Okay, that's actually not my world, that's their world. They're projecting on me because they're really unhappy and jealous. So I'm not going to absorb that. I'll just say, okay, appreciate your point of view. Thanks very much. I'll take that on board. Be the higher person. Your higher self is not born with an ego. You weren't born with an ego. You grow into an ego. So get rid of the ego. There is, what's my little quote I had here? It was from Gandhi. When the ego dies, the soul awakens. So this is my parting thought for you today. When the ego dies, the soul awakens. So let your ego die a little more each day. And so your soul can awaken and grow. So my parting thought again, when the ego dies, your soul awakens. Let your ego die a little more each day. So your own soul can awaken and grow. And this is just not business. This is life. This is your relationships, your partner, your husband, your wife, your children, your friends, your acquaintances, you know, all that kind of stuff. So let your ego die a little bit more each day and try to come from a place of love, and you will blossom. But that kind of thing doesn't happen overnight, and we often actually don't know that we've got a bit of ego, whereas I bet you have. And that's why I said in the description, we've all got this, but how big you have of this thing, the ego, will play out big time in your life. Whether you're successful, whether you have issues in relationships, whether you have issues with your family, all those kind of things. The bigger the ego, the bigger the issues, guys. So let your ego die a little bit more each day so you can sort of awaken the soul and be a happier person. And when you truly sit in that truth of coming from a place of love, then opportunities open up. The right people will enter your world. The right mentors and guides and all sorts of beautiful people will enter your world when you come from a place of love, because the other people will disappear. Because they won't resonate with you anymore. You won't resonate with people with an ego anymore, and that's okay. All right? So, yes, Cindy, recognizing it is the path to controlling it. We are 100% in control, guys. So you are 100% in control of getting rid of your ego each and every day. Okay? So what did you think about that? What did Lynn just say there? Thank you for this. Thank you for sharing about your dad. I so relate. Yeah, and isn't it interesting how we treat the people closest to us? Like, you don't need to be, and it wasn't, like, it makes me emotional just thinking about watching Dad's face sink when, you know, you're realizing that he's completely wrong and he didn't even remember. Like it affects him because he's losing his memory, and it's hard for him to accept that. But it's also hard for me. I didn't mean to go here, knowing that I'm hurting him and it's just an ego thing. I needed to be right. It's not, no, that's not what we did yesterday. We did that. I was with you. So yeah, it's interesting sort of how it plays out. But I just raise these things once a week because they're just so important, guys, in who you are, how you move through life. And can you be a better version of yourself tomorrow than you are today? Because this stuff doesn't change overnight, but if at least you're aware of it, you've got half an opportunity to change it. Because all I wish for you guys is that you believe in yourself enough, and you know you've got great self-worth, and you know you can do it, and you know that you can be successful, and you're going to do whatever you need to do to get the job done. And don't let yourself stand in your own way, because that's generally what stops us from being successful. It's us. It's the crap that goes around our head. It's the little voice. It's the stories you tell yourself, which is wrapped up in the ego thing. Okay? Kelly, we often treat the ones closest to us the worst. Yeah, and we don't mean to. Like my dad. Like, he, you know, a lot of you will know I lost my mum when I was really young. So dad's everything to me. So to know that I was doing that to him. Sorry, now I'm getting all emotional about my dad. Okay, snap out of it, Helen. I love actually the opportunity that you guys give me just to talk about this kind of stuff, because I think this is what makes or breaks us more than anything. I'll talk about social media for the rest of the week and every week in and out, but this stuff is what makes the difference as to whether we're successful or not. So take that for what it is. I'll go and clean myself up, and just literally coming from a place of love for my dad. That's all. So that's not bad tears in any way, guys. I'm all good. I'm very, very lucky to have dad in my life. This special, beautiful man that he is. So, hey Courtney, how are you? Zafral, Helen, I'm guilty about the ego thing. Credit to you for saying that, and everybody really is in that position. Zafral, we've all got ego to some degree, and to say that we don't, we would be lying. We really would. So it's just having that awareness around it, and just so when you recognize it, you can change it and just learn to be a better version of yourself. That's the best thing we can do, isn't it, guys? If we never talk about it, I don't raise these kind of issues, then nothing changes, does it? So we need to change these little things slowly but surely, so we can be successful in all areas of our life. You're guilty about the ego thing too, Courtney? Yeah, I think everyone probably on this live and watching the replay would have elements of ego. It's part of being a human being, isn't it? But we also have the choice to do something about it. So I have a work in progress, though. It doesn't mean I don't get offended or take things personally or any of those things that I mentioned, but at least if I'm aware of it, I can do something about it. Okay, and we'll finish on Kelly's comment. Amen. I love you guys. Thank you for turning up with me. I love your interaction. It's just, yeah, I truly, truly appreciate you guys. I really do. So on to happier things tomorrow. We'll move into social media tomorrow. Oh, I do. If you're still here with me, the doors are opening again to the 21-day online crew video challenge on the 1st. So in my world, it's already the 1st. In your world, it might not be the 1st yet. So I'm doing it later today in Australian time, and or probably early hours of the morning for those of you, US, Canada and stuff like that. So anybody is now, when the doors open on the 1st, can, like all of those, there's 120 people waiting to get into the group. So I'll approve all of you, and we're gearing up for the next video challenge to start on October the 11th. So yeah, I'll be opening those doors again, and you can join all the rest of the 600 odd people in there, and we'll start the next video challenge on the 11th. So those of you already in the group, I will be going live in there in a moment just to explain a couple of things to you that are already existing in the group. And so I'll be over in the 21-day video challenge group in a sec, and then later today I will approve everyone else. Okay, so thank you for listening, guys. You are awesome, and I will see you tomorrow, but again 2 hours earlier than normal because I'm hosting another Facebook ads webinar for somebody. So yeah, I will be 2 hours earlier tomorrow. Okay, so hope to see you then, guys. Bye.